بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
والنجم إذا هوى ما ضل صاحبكم وما غوى.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا وحبيبنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأزواجه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، باب فضل من يصل ذا الرحم الظالم. The chapter is about joining the relation with a relative that is an oppressor, a wrongdoer. عن البراء رضي الله عنه قال جاء أعرابي فقال يا نبي الله علمني عملا يدخلني الجنة. Sayyidina al-Bara ibn Azib radiallahu anhu says, a villager came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he asked an amazing question. He said, Ya Rasul, Ya Nabi Allah, علمني عملا يدخلني الجنة. Teach me something that will take me straight into Jannah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, لئن كنت أخسرت الخطبة لقد أعرضت المسألة. Although your question is very short, أقصرت الخطبة, the words that you have used are very few, but your question and the meaning of these words is very broad. You asked about something very big now. This is not something small. The whole deen is based on this. Everyone wants to go to Jannah. Then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam explained few things to him that would enable the person to enter the Jannah. Number one, أعتق النسمة وفك الرقبة. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to him, free a slave. And he used two words for freeing the slave. One is أعتق النسمة, which means freeing a slave, and then فك الرقبة, which also refers to freeing the slave. And therefore, this person asked, أوليستا واحدا? Aren't both of these the same? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, no. عتق النسمة أن تعتق النسمة. The word عتق النسمة refers to freeing a slave all by yourself. And فك الرقبة أن تعين على الرقبة. فك الرقبة is referring to you take part in doing this work. So we see two different rewards in someone is taking the full thing upon himself, or someone is taking share in that work. He said these are two different things. Itqul nasama is when you do it all by yourself, and fakur raqaba is when you are not able to do it all by yourself, so you take share in it. And both of them are great reward, but of course they both have their own rewards. Here we see a few things that are happening in this hadith that are very, very important lessons for us to understand. One is, when the villager asked that question, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam admired his question. He said, although he didn't use too many words, but the question you asked is very important and has a very, very broad and deep meaning. So when a person asks, especially in a situation where Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you look at Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a teacher, and this person is a student. So when a student asks a good question, there should always be appreciation from the teacher on thinking right and asking a good question. That, yeah, this is a beautiful question. MashaAllah, you asked a good question. That should be there. It shouldn't be that why didn't you even ask a question? You shouldn't ask a question. Or asking question is disrespect. No. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam admired him asking the question. Not only this, then this person, once he got the answer to his question, he had some question in his mind about the answer. He said, Ya Rasulullah, the two words that you use, to me they both seem to be the same. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam now explained both the difference between the two words. So now someone teaches something, and then the student says, but I think I have a question about what you said. Nothing wrong with that. There is a question in his mind. He couldn't understand it. Just like this villager feels that no, both of the things are same. So he said, Ya Rasulullah, you said two different things, but they seem to be the same thing, referring to the same thing. Prophet ﷺ then explained himself, and he said, no, they are not the same thing. These are two different things. Subhanallah, what a beautiful method of education, rules of education. And of course, it's a whole topic by itself from in the light of a hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that how to educate people and rules of education between teachers and students. What are the adab? What are the respectful manners and things, and the things that need to be used in the field of education. For example, encouraging people to ask questions, asking them questions. Sometime we see Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam sitting with Sahaba ridwanullahi ajma'in, and we see in the hadith he's drawing something on the ground. And then he asked, what did you think I have drawn here? See, this is another method of educating people. No blackboards. He's using the ground to draw with his finger. To tell us the importance of these type of methods, of using these methods. Now we have the boards, we have the pens, we have the markers, we have the chalks, but we don't like to use it. And Prophet ﷺ is using it in his method of education, and unfortunately, we will see that in most of our traditional methods, we don't have no concept of a board and of writing something, drawing things. And in the normal schools, you can't see a classroom without these things. Whereas we see Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is using it. He's using these methods. Sometimes he would just make a move and then will ask, do you know what I have done? What did I do just now? Another method of teaching. So he used so many different methods of teaching. It's something for us, very important for us to learn these methods. Sometimes he will mention an example, and then he will explain what the example is all about. Sometimes he will start with a question. Do you know what tree resembles a mu'min? Let them think about it, and then he will give them the answer. So he used all these different methods in the process of educating Sahaba ridwanullahi alayhim ajma'in, and this is something that we should also learn from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the different ways and methods that he used. Like sometimes he wants the person to be very, very curious so that he won't forget it. Ubay ibn Ka'b says, Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said to me, Ubay, before you leave the masjid, I will teach you something. He could have told him right there. And he says, no, before you leave the masjid, I'll teach you something. Now, Ubay ibn Ka'b says, throughout the time, I'm waiting for it. And then he's about to leave, and he feels, I'm not going to leave until I learn what Prophet ﷺ asked me to. He told me that he would teach me. So, when he saw Prophet ﷺ is moving, Ubay radiallahu anhu moves very slowly, because he's going to just pretend that he's walking, but he's not going to leave the masjid. And Prophet ﷺ realized that, okay, Ubay really likes to learn. Yet, he didn't teach him yet. Waited. Ubay went, Ya Rasulullah. When he saw that Prophet ﷺ is about to leave, see the test here. He's about to leave. He said, Ya Rasulullah, didn't you tell me you're going to teach me something before I leave? Rasulullah ﷺ said, yes. And then he taught it. See? Subhanallah, what a beautiful method. In fact, the most amazing one, and all of them are beautiful, but this is amazing that I find it personally. Like, I see it something that even with all the different methods that we have developed and we have come up with and we thought about, this will be maybe a unique way. And that is the hadith of Jibreel. And we all know that hadith. When Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam came to Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam and he started asking questions, Mal Islam, Mal Iman, Mal Ihsan, and then Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam left. Now, until this point, to Sahaba Ridwanullahi Ajma'een, this is just a man. He's not Jibreel. They don't know that this is Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam. And then Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam asked the Sahaba, do you know who this person was? And they said, we don't know. So he said, okay, alayya bil rajul, go and call the man. You know the hadith. He said, go and call this man. So Sahaba Ridwanullahi Ajma'een went out looking for him. And there are narrations telling us that they were looking for this man for 3 days. He made them look for this man for 3 days. After 3 days, they are gathered around Prophet ﷺ. He said, what happened? Where is that man? Ya Rasulullah, we looked for him everywhere. We asked every house in Medina, and we went to the suburbs of Medina. And because of the importance of the instruction of Rasulullah ﷺ, he said, look for the man. So every person hopes to be that person who would find the man. And he could come back and say, Ya Rasulullah, I found the man. So they're going to the suburbs of Medina Munawwara and talking to every person in the villages around Medina Munawwara. Every newcomer that comes to Medina Munawwara, they will talk to him about it. 3 days. They are constantly working on this project. What happens after 3 days? They are all sitting there, and Prophet ﷺ asked them, what happened to the man? Rasulullah, we couldn't find him nowhere. We looked for him in every house, every village, all the suburbs, all the surrounding areas, every newcomer, every person that was leaving. We talked to every person. No one had seen the man. Prophet ﷺ said, do you know who that person was? And Umar is most curious now, because how could a person come? You know, Umar during his reign, during his time, no one could come and leave Medina without Umar knowing. So now, Umar radiallahu anhu is the most curious person. So we know the hadith of Prophet ﷺ especially addressed Umar radiallahu anhu. Umar, atadri man rajul? Do you know who that man was? He said, no, Ya Rasulullah. He said, innahu Jibreel. That was Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam. Now imagine one of us is sitting there and he said, okay, Jibreel alayhi salam. Ya Rasulullah, for 3 days you made us run all around the town. And we are looking for the man. Why didn't you tell us that day? Sahaba Ridwanullahi Ajma'een, because of their adab, they learned a lot. Their respect, they learned a lot. No objection. Okay. He chose not to tell us at that time, tell us after 3 days, after we got ourselves tired of looking this man. What did Prophet ﷺ get by doing this? Why did he make them look for the man for 3 days? You know what happened within these 3 days? This hadith is known, first thing, before I go to that. Muhaddiseen, they gave a special name to this hadith. What do they call it? They call it Ummul Ahadith. This is the mother of all Ahadith, which means it has the summary of all Ahadith. This is the summary of the whole deen. This hadith is so important. It happened in the 10th year, towards the end of Prophet ﷺ's life. So extremely important hadith, which is the summary of the whole deen of the teaching of Rasulullah ﷺ over a period of 23 years. What did Prophet ﷺ do now? He made every person in and around Medina and a visitor to Medina to memorize this hadith. They're all talking about it. This man came. We are looking for a man. Which man are you looking for? Oh, a man with this description. But why are you looking for him? You know, this man came and he sat with the Prophet ﷺ and he asked, Mal Islam? And Prophet ﷺ told him this. And he asked, Mal Iman? And Prophet ﷺ gave him this answer. And he asked, Mal Ihsan? And he gave him this answer. And then this man, this is how he sat, and this is how he looked, and this is when he left. So they are giving full description of every detail of that hadith. So every person now in out of Medina, they are taking it not as a hadith that I'm sitting and memorizing a hadith. No. This person, they are taking it as a story. that a man came, he sat with the Prophet ﷺ, and he came, and normally people will sit with it at some distance. He came and he joined his knees with the Prophet ﷺ's knees, and he put his hand on his lap, and then he's asking this question, and then Prophet ﷺ answered his question, and this man said, yes, I know what you said is right. If he knew it, why is he asking? How did he know it if we didn't see this man before? So all of these details are being talked about. And everyone in the town, around town, in suburbs are talking about this hadith and this incident. And after 3 days, after the hadith is being memorized by all the people, young and adult, men and women, Prophet ﷺ tell them, now I'll tell you who that man was. That was Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam. Look at the beautiful method of making everyone learn the summary of this deen. They all memorize the summary of the deen. More than 3 days. And generally, if you would tell people, we want every person in town to memorize this hadith, what will be the rate of success? Yes, there are people, of course, it's the order of Prophet ﷺ, but in those days, how would you get this order to every person? And how would you make young and adult all memorize it? How would you make men and women all memorize it? Where can you find a better method than this? And very successfully he did it. So anyway, this is what we see Prophet ﷺ using beautiful method of educating here. So he said he admired the person for his question, and then when the person had another question based on Prophet ﷺ's answer, I don't want to call it an objection, it's really his question, that you said two things, أعتق النسمة وفك الرقبة, but they both seem to be the same thing. Ya Rasulullah, Prophet ﷺ then explained the difference between the two. Then Rasulullah ﷺ said there are a few more things. This was one thing you can say, or this is two things if you divide them. One is freeing the slave by yourself. Number two, taking part in freeing the slave. The third thing Rasulullah ﷺ told him was وَالْمَنِيحَةُ الرَّهُوبُ, lending an animal for milking, which has a lot of milk, which people would be interested in, which means will have a lot of milk. So he said, this is another good deed that will get you the Jannah. This is the question. Don't forget the question. That what can I do, Ya Rasulullah, to have, make sure that I get to the Jannah? Rasulullah ﷺ is explaining different things, and one of the things he's mentioning here is that you give someone an animal, a goat, a camel, that they can keep on milking and finding food for themselves, means of survival, which means taking care of other people's needs, especially when it comes to necessities of life. Helping people with necessities of life is something that could get the person to the Jannah. This is one of the very special deeds. Rasulullah ﷺ is mentioning about things that can get you to the Jannah. Now think about it. This is the Prophet of Allah. Imagine the amount of knowledge he has. And with so many things that he has taught the Ummah, so many virtues of so many good deeds. Sometimes for us, it is difficult for us to choose few to practice out of hundreds that he has mentioned. But he is choosing now few out of all of his teachings. That what could be some of the most important things in your life that you could do that will grant you, that will get you the Jannah, that will make your path to Jannah easy for you. So here Rasulullah ﷺ is saying, وَالْمَنِيحَةُ الرَّوُوبُ, which in those days, when a person had a lot of goats, he will give one goat to someone. Here, you keep the goat. He's not giving it to give it to him as a gift. He said, keep it, I'll take it back from you whenever I need it, but you keep on milking the goat. He has a camel, keep my camel, you will keep on milking the camel, so you have means of survival for yourself and your family. This will be just like if you give food to someone, or you tell a store owner, for example, that this is a person, he would come and get bread from you every day. He will come and get milk from you every day. don't charge him, charge my card and give him the food that he wants. So you can assign a method, find a method by which we can keep on helping people regularly that will help people to have their means of survival. And as I said, necessities of life. Whatever necessities of life people have, that is something that every human being, regardless, remember we have to understand this, regardless of religion, regardless of faith, regardless of our connection with the person, every person has the right to have access to the necessities of life. Not only human beings, even animals. We see the hadith where Prophet ﷺ talked about that person who was punished because of not feeding the cat. Remember that hadith, which is in the Sahih. The person was punished because of not feeding the cat. What was that? Depriving the animal from having access to the necessities of life. See? Depriving an animal from having access, not from just giving. You are not, it's not only that you are not giving it. He had a cat. He tied the cat, which means he has the cat in a room, and now he is not letting the cat go out and find those means of survival on its own, and he is not even feeding the cat himself. Sometimes people keep animals and they don't give them the full meal according to how much this animal requires. Many times, places where they keep animals, they don't give them food that this animal would eat. They do some research. Yes, we are living at a time when everything is based on research, and on the basis of that research, they make us eat so many things today that tomorrow they will tell us that this is the most harmful thing for you that you are eating. There's all research. But based on that research, they will feed the animals much less than the animal itself will eat when it had its own freedom and it was in the jungles. For example, lions. Most of the places, they would feed the lion once a week. They say, it's enough for the lion. Lions need to eat only once a week for their survival. SubhanAllah. Okay? Is it true that all lions that are in the jungle, they only eat once a week? Okay, after that lion ate an animal, go and present yourself to the lion next day. See what happens. He's not going to attack you, is it? Because he ate yesterday. Of course, we know it's not true. So, allowing every living being, remember this, allowing every living being to have access to the means of survival is must for every human being. And then to help them have access to the means of survival and necessities of life, it's a door to Jannah. That person, that woman who fed the dog and she was forgiven, what was that? Providing something that was needed for the survival. So providing the means of survival to the dog got that woman forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and she was granted the Jannah. In Qur'an, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Dahr talks about those who وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ مِسْكِينًا وَيَتِيمًا وَأَسِيرًا. They feed the people who are imprisoned. And sometimes the translator will put in bracket those who are imprisoned unjustly. It doesn't have to be unjustly. That person is imprisoned. We are not supposed to make him starve to death. So a person who is imprisoned for whatever crime, whatever wrong he has done, with all the wrong, with all the haram he may have committed, with all the crimes that he has committed, he needs an access to the necessities of life. You can't stop him from breathing. You can't stop him from having access to the water, to the food, other necessities of the life. You must let him rest. You must let him sleep. All of those things that a naturally human being needs in his day-to-day life, these are necessities of the life, and these are requirements for every human being. We are not allowed to stop people from having access to these things. What a beautiful religion. What a beautiful deen. What a beautiful instruction that we are seeing here. And then when you help people find and have access to, or you fulfill their requirements that will fulfill the requirements of their necessities of the life, then this is your door of the Jannah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is mentioning this as one of the things that will grant you the Jannah. The fourth thing Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned is وَالْفَيْءُ عَلَى ذِي الرَّحِمِ, and spending on your relatives. Keep on helping your relatives financially. This is another thing that Prophet ﷺ is mentioning as one of the very great rewarding thing that will open the door of the Jannah for the person. Subhanallah. فَيْءُ عَلَى ذِي الرَّحِمِ, that you keep on spending on your relatives that are who are in need. So you have relatives that are in need and you keep on taking care of them. This is another door of Jannah for the person, and this is another thing that will guarantee this person the Jannah. After mentioning these four things, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't close the door. He said, okay, I told you these things, and you have to do one of these things. And if you do none of those things, then there is no way you can make it to Jannah. This is the Prophet of Allah. He is Rahim. He is Kareem. He is very merciful. He doesn't like to close the door of Jannah on any person. So he says to the person, فَإِن لَمْ تُطِقْ ذَلِكَ, if you can't do these things. Subhanallah. I mean, I would wait for the person to ask at least. But Prophet ﷺ is not even waiting for him to ask. That, no, Ya Rasulullah, I don't think I can do none of these things. These things are difficult for me. I can't afford to do these things. Without this person asking, Prophet ﷺ is opening another avenue for him. فَإِن لَمْ تُطِقْ ذَلِكَ, if you can't do none of these things, he said, then I'll tell you something different. فَأْمُرْ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ, then enjoin good. Tell people to do good. وَانْهَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ, forbid evil. Now, he's not even closing the doors of option yet. He says, فَإِن لَمْ تُطِقْ ذَلِكَ, if you can't even do this, subhanallah, look at the rahmah, look at the mercy here. He's just giving him options after options and keeping every door open for him. فَإِن لَمْ تُطِقْ ذَلِكَ, if you can't even do that, فَكُفَّ لِسَانَكَ إِلَّا مِنْ خَيْرٍ, then control your tongue from everything. Pay attention to the wording. كُفَّ لِسَانَكَ, control your tongue from saying anything. Don't say nothing. إِلَّا مِنْ خَيْرٍ, except to say what is good. Then do this. This is the minimum you can do for yourself. This is the least that you need to do, is don't utter a word that will hurt other people. A word that is wrong. But here in this hadith, Prophet ﷺ is not even saying that كُفَّ لِسَانَكَ عَنِ الشَّرِّ, that don't say anything that is wrong. He says, no, don't say anything. Just say what is good, because he's asking about a way of getting to the Jannah. He's not just asking about a way of protection from Jahannam. No, I want a way that will, Ya Rasulullah, grant me the Jannah. He said, okay, then make sure you only speak what is good. And this is, of course, a very, very important thing that every person needs to learn. This is, remember, for everything we need to learn. We need to learn on how to just say the good things. Sometimes we feel it's about talking too much and talking less. It's not really about that either. Yes, it's always best to control your tongue and not to say too much. But sometimes people who say too much, they may say a lot of good things. And a person who doesn't speak, you will really find this. There are people who are very, very quiet. But the only 1 hour of the day that he will speak, during that hour he will cut everything off. This, a person, you will really, there are people who just like snakes. They're like snakes. They don't bite every day, but the day they bite, they just bite, take the person's life. They will kill someone. So there are people who they themselves are impressed with their own behavior of being very quiet. And everyone around them is very impressed. You know, this person is very quiet, mashallah. But the day is going to speak. The time he opens his mouth, poison comes out. And this person is poisonous. But he himself is very impressed with his own quality of being very, very quiet. So we have to be very careful. There is once a person came to me for counseling, and this is exactly what his complaint was. You know, my wife is very, very quiet. She doesn't really talk too much. And yesterday we were sitting, and she says to me, while they're talking, she says, and she started talking about my mother. Oh, your mother is this, and your mother is this. So he says, you know, basically his problem is she doesn't talk. But the only time she talked to me, she is just talking against my relatives, against my mother, against my sister. So sometimes people are quiet and they feel that they're good because there are some people who are very, very soft, very quiet. They are neither very accommodating, so they are not the people who would, you sit with them, you feel very happy, they will talk to you, they will smile to you. But at the same time, when these people, they start talking, they get so angry. They're angry about every person. They're angry about everything. They're not happy about anything. But the person himself is very, very impressed with his own quality of being very quiet, and he is very humble. See, because how do you know he's humble? Because he doesn't speak. He doesn't say anything. You go and talk to him, mashallah, brother, you're such a good brother, and you know, I really don't like to talk because, you know, my parents are this, and my brothers are this, and my mom is this, and the community is this, and the whole world is gone. I remember once a brother told me he moved to an area, this is in not just another town, another country. A person told me that he moved to an area for being in a good area. So I said, you know, the area where you were before, mashallah, you know, you were around the masjid over there also, and mashallah. No. And then he started opening up. Those people are this and this. I said, remember, after some time, even these people will be like those. Because I could see the problem is not with those people. The problem is this person doesn't like no one. So here, as I said, we have to learn how to say khair. It's not about how to just stay quiet. Yes, that's another quality. But we have to remember this quality here is how to say khair, how to say something good and not to say anything wrong. Whether you speak little or you speak more, but always make sure you just say what is khair, what is good. The next chapter is about Man wasala rahimahu fil jahiliyyati thumma aslam. This is also a very, very different type of chapter from what we were studying before. A person who was not Muslim, and he used to do some good deeds in those days of Jahiliyyah and in the pre-Islamic days. After becoming Muslim, is he going to be getting any benefit of those good deeds or not? Hakim ibn Hizam says that he went to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and he asked Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, أَرَأَيْتَ أُمُورًا كُنْتُ أَتَحَنَّثُ بِهَا فِي الْجَاهِلِيَّةِ. Tell me, Ya Rasulullah, about some of the good deeds that I used to perform in the days of Jahiliyyah with the intention of doing something that is rewarding. Min silatin, like joining the relation, wa ataqatin, freeing the slaves, wa sadaqatin, and giving charity. فَهَلْ لِي فِيهَا أَجْرٌ. Do I get any reward by doing those good deeds, Ya Rasulullah? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, look at the words. What did he say? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said to me, أَسْلَمْتَ عَلَى مَا سَلَفَ مِنْ خَيْرٍ. You became Muslim with the good that you used to do. You became Muslim with the good that you used to do. Let's understand the ruling here, and then we will try to see what does this answer mean. This person was doing some good deeds in the days of Jahiliyyah. He's asking Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, do I get any reward for doing those good deeds? The simple answer would be that because you perform those good deeds without Iman, there is no reward. So if the person did perform any salah during those days, he was fasting, he did i'tikaf, or as he mentioned, some charity, helping people, do I get anything out of it in the hereafter? No, there is nothing, because you did it without Iman. But Prophet ﷺ didn't tell him, no, there is no reward for you. You are not getting anything from that. And now you need to redo all of those good deeds. No, he told him something that will really make him realize the benefit of doing those good deeds, even without Islam. And what is that? Prophet ﷺ said, you became Muslim with the good deeds that you perform. That means, number one, the good deeds that you used to do before, they helped you become Muslim. Because when a person does something good, that good pulls him towards another good, and those good deeds brought you to Islam. Because Islam is the combination of all khair and all good. So those good things brought you to better things. Number two, because of doing those good deeds in the days of Jahiliyyah, you develop the habit of doing good deeds. So now you continue doing the good deeds. Because of that, you're doing the good deeds. So yes, those good deeds are benefiting you now. How they are benefiting you? Not by you getting the reward, but you are getting the reward of those deeds by doing them now, because you have developed the habit of doing them. This is just like a person who had bad habits in the days of Jahiliyyah, before Islam. When he comes to Islam and he continues with the bad habits, now he will get sin for doing the wrong. So those wrong things are pulling him towards another wrong here. Although some of the scholars say this means for anything good he has done, now he will get the reward of all of those things, but that doesn't sound right. Because reward is based on Iman. That's the first requirement for reward. And since there is no Iman, there is no reward. Because say if this person died with his kufr, what those rewards are going to do for him. But yes, there is one benefit in the hereafter. It's not a reward, we have to understand. It's not a reward. But in the hereafter, those people who did any good deed without Iman, because of the good deed, they will be treated their treatment will be much easier than those who were doing a lot of wrong with their kufr. So a person who does not have Iman and he's oppressing people, he's killing people, and he says, I'm not a believer, I don't believe in paradise and hellfire, I don't believe in the hereafter, so therefore I can do whatever I want. And there is another person who has the same type of belief, which means he doesn't believe in the hereafter, he doesn't have no belief about resurrection, but this person is kind and he's helping people. That will help him, not through the reward to get the Jannah, but it will help him at the time of difficulty in the hereafter, reducing the difficulties for this person. Just like Prophet ﷺ said about Abu Talib, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reduced his punishment because of helping me. So these things would help the person. So this is what it means. أَسْلَمْتَ عَلَى مَا سَلَفَ مِنْ خَيْرٍ. Whatever good you have done, you became Muslim with those good deeds. Which is telling us good habits with Iman, without Iman, they are always helpful. Good habits, good qualities, good behavior is always helpful with or without Iman. The next chapter is about صِلَةُ ذِي الرَّحِمِ الْمُشْرِكِ وَالْهَدِيَّةِ. That joining the relation with non-Muslim relatives, although we talked about this topic before, and giving them gifts. Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu says, Ra'a Umar radiallahu anhu hullatan siyara'a. Umar radiallahu anhu saw a silk robe that was being sold. We had this hadith before. So he said to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Ya Rasulullah, it would be nice if you buy it and you would wear it on the day of Jum'ah and on special occasions when people come to visit you, when you have delegations from out of town. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Umar, إِنَّمَا يَلْبَسُ هَذِهِ مَنْ لَا خَلَاقَ لَهُ. Only those would wear something like this, because silk, haram for men. So only those would wear it who have no share in the hereafter. After some time, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam received some gift from another country that had a lot of these type of dresses that Umar radiallahu anhu had seen for sale at that time. So Prophet ﷺ, he distributed it to Sahaba Ridwanullahi alayhim ajma'in, and he gave one to Umar radiallahu anhu also. Umar radiallahu anhu said, Ya Rasulullah, I heard you at that time saying that only those would wear this who have no share in the hereafter. Rasulullah ﷺ said, I didn't give it to you for you to wear it. You can give it as a gift to anyone, or you can sell it if you like. So Umar radiallahu anhu gave it to his brother who was not Muslim yet. He gave it to him as a gift. Basically what Imam Bukhari rahimahullah is telling us, and we talked in detail about this hadith previously, therefore no need to go into the detail of all the lessons that we learn in the light of this hadith, but the point that Imam Bukhari rahimahullah is making over here is that Umar radiallahu anhu gave gift to his brother who was not even a Muslim. And this shows us the importance of joining the relationship even with those relatives that are not even Muslims. I think we'll stop with this. وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه سيدنا وحبيبنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين آمين يا رب العالمين.
مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا